Should the Chicago Bears trade for Trey Hendrickson? Let's talk about it. What's going on, Bears fans? Nicholas Moreano here with another episode of the Nicholas Moreano Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this YouTube channel with a fellow Bears fan. It's going to help me grow this YouTube channel and get out to more of you Bears fans that enjoy my content or maybe don't enjoy my content. Whichever one, doesn't matter to me. I just appreciate you being here, listening, watching, and leaving comments and sharing it with fellow Bears fans. It helps me out, so I appreciate the love. I teased at the end of my last episode, and if you haven't watched that already, make sure you go check that out, that I was going to talk about some of these edge rushers and what the Bears can potentially do, what I think they should do, and what maybe I think is likely to happen. So if you haven't seen that episode, go check it out. It recaps all the Bears moves up to this point in time, and looking down, looking at Twitter, no moves have been made yet. So we're good. We're in the clear at the time of this recording. But we need to talk about the recent news that just came out on Thursday that the Bengals, they have given edge rusher Trey Hendrickson permission to seek a trade. Look, last time a player was given permission to seek a trade, Jonah Jackson, the Bears went and got him. Just saying. But this is really enticing if you are the Chicago Bears, because yes, this is a player that is going to be 30 in December. Oh, fun fact. As I was kind of doing some research on Trey Hendrickson, I wanted to see exactly when he's going to turn 31. He's going to turn 31 December 5th. Why that is meaningful and why I need to share this, my birthday, December 4th, 1994. I'm older than Trey Hendrickson by a day. So if you're thinking about, man, he's getting older, maybe he's not I feel great. And he's a professional athlete, obviously playing in the NFL, playing a very physical position. AJ ain't a factor. I'm feeling great. I know he's feeling great, but he's a day younger than me. So Trey Hendrickson will be 30, but the past two seasons had 17 and a half sacks in each of those two seasons, 35 over the last 2 years, more than any other defensive player in the NFL. Super highly productive, has familiarity with Dennis Allen back with the New Orleans Saints. Man, this is a former All-Pro, someone that is a difference maker, someone that you got a game plan for if you are an opposing offense. And as I'm projecting, thinking about this Bears defense, Trey Hendrickson on one side, Montez Sweat on the other. If you're looking for the like the Batman, I wouldn't even say Batman and Robin. It's almost like damn near two Batmans on a defense. Like that's the group right there. And, Trey Hendrickson's proven longer and been more productive that he would be the Batman. And Montez Sweat can be, I don't know, Batman Beyond if you're into that, or pick your favorite Batman from whatever movie. Okay, I'm getting way too into that. But, man, I am interested. I'm going to tell you flat out, I am interested in the Athletic. Shout out to Paul Denner Jr. from the Athletic. Just came out with an article 4 hours ago on today, Friday. Kind of the headline, you got to go read it. I'm going to, share a little bit of it, but I want you to go read it. Did a fantastic job just kind of going through different scenarios, but it's called Trey Hendrickson Trade Proposals. Could Bengals ship sack leader back to, who is this? Lou Anarumo. I don't know why I butchered that out. But go check it out. Great article. And here's what I want to share with you. One, really quickly, any team that would be looking to trade for Trey Hendrickson, he's also seeking a contract extension and closer to the top of the edge market. So you got to keep that in mind as you're factoring in, what teams would be even willing to do this. And look, Max Crosby, he got paid with a 3-year, $106 million extension with $91.5 million guaranteed. I don't think Trey's not going to get that. But man, like it's gonna be up there. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about this. And if you're wondering, like, why the hell would the Bengals even, give Trey Hendrickson? Look, they need to they're prioritizing offense. They just franchise tag T. Higgins and Joe Burrow. Man, he's been pretty vocal about what he wants. So you got to please and keep your quarterback happy. And having offensive weapons will definitely do that. But doesn't make the team overall better when you're losing such a capable playmaker like Trey. Here is a super interesting and I think just notable takeaway from this article. And again, shout out to the Athletics, shout out to Paul Denner Jr. for doing a great job with this. But here's the paragraph here. So, what would compensation look like for Hendrickson? And to be completely honest, when I saw that he was given permission to seek a trade, the first thing that came in my mind is like a first. Like that's where you're kind of starting or some version of that, or maybe swapping first with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's not probably likely. Uh, this is verbatim from The Athletic. If you look at recent edge rusher trades, it's clear a first round pick is unlikely. Despite the production, Hendrickson's age, 30, will be 31 December 5th, and the cost of an extension, take it off the table. Okay, when I read that, now I'm like, we're talking here. We are talking. So here are some trades that they put out, recent edge rushers, and what the trade compensation was, age, and everything like that. You have Matthew Judon last August. So it was August 14th, 2024, 32 years old at the time of the trade. Compensation was a third-round draft pick, New England sending it to Atlanta. That didn't work out for Atlanta. Didn't get a very productive Matthew Judon. Hassan Reddick, this was April 1st, 2024. 29 years old at the time of the trade. You get and trade him for a third-round pick in 2026. Philly sends Hassan Reddick to the New York Jets. Brian Burns, this was March 13th, 2024. And we're getting close to that March 13th date here in 2025. But at age of 25, Brian Burns was traded to the New York Giants for a second rounder, 39th overall, and a fifth round pick. And then you have Khalil Mack with, this was March 16th, 2022. At age 31, the Bears sent him to LA for a second round pick, number 48th overall, and a sixth round draft pick. So you see the common denominator in all of that. There is no first. And there are players that were younger than Trey Hendrickson that also didn't acquire first. They also, the players that were under 30, actually, that's not true. Well, yeah, definitely not true. Brian Burns, 25, he got 2 picks, compensated. And so did Khalil Mack. He was at 31, a second and a sixth. So I think the Bears actually did a pretty good job with that Chargers trade there. And then also the Athletic does some other like trade deadline guys, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Bradley Chubb, Robert Quinn, Von Miller. But I don't want to get into all that because I think for Trey Hendrickson, that's going to happen, out of the season and, potentially, maybe the next coming weeks. Free agency is coming up here. So I think let's base it off the framework of out of season. And shout out to Kevin Fishbane. Writes for the Bears for the Athletic, as many of you know. But every team that would be interested in Trey Hendrickson also proposed a trade offer. Hey, Kevin gave him number 41, second round draft pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's call it a deal there. And I will tell you this: if that is what it takes to go get Trey Hendrickson, I'm all in. Go get him for number 41. And here's. Before I get into why I think that should be the case, here's what the Bears have currently for their draft picks. Round 1, pick 10. So you got the 10th overall pick. Round 2, pick 39 from the Carolina Panthers. Then you also got pick 41 in round 2, the one that is maybe being potentially sent to Cincinnati for Trey Hendrickson. You have round 3, pick 72, round 5, pick 149, and then you have 2 7th-round draft picks, pick 235 that came from the Bengals, and pick 242 from the Minnesota Vikings. So you're telling me that you can get Trey Hendrickson, 30 years old, ultra productive, has familiarity with Dennis Allen for pick 41? Here's what... You guys are going to hate me when I say this, but you know what all these draftable players don't have? They don't have sacks in the NFL. They don't have familiarity with Dennis Allen, and they don't have proven production in the NFL. Trey Hendrickson has all of that. And I understand like the thought process of you're trading away draft capital, you're acquiring older players. I understand that too. I'm telling you, I do. But that's a difference maker, man. That is somebody you have to game plan for. And guess what? You also have to game plan for Montez Sweat. And if you're looking at this Bears roster now with the additions they made on the offensive line, now you get a bona fide stud opposite of Montez Sweat. I don't care if it's the first year of Ben Johnson with a new offense with second year quarterback Caleb Williams. The expectations have been set. You made that you're making that trade knowing that you can be competitive. That you will be competitive in 2025. In a division where when you look back to some of those matchups that the Bears had, they were right there with their counterparts in the NFC North. They really were. And because of certain circumstances, how things ended, they just didn't win. And that was with a lesser roster that they're going to be bringing in to 2025. So I'm all for it, you guys. And let me know as you're watching this, would you make that trade for Trey Hendrickson, number 41 overall? And then again, you have to factor in what is that trade, that extension going to look like? So he's going to be heavily compensated. And factor in this. The Bears have been linked, it's been talked about forever now. It seems like Drew Dahlman too. So there needs to be money left to potentially go get a player like that, bring him to Chicago. You need a center. So that's also going to be, I think, an interesting point of like this trade proposal. Like, can you make this trade with the extension and still sign a guy like Dahlman? I think you can get it done. Really, the cap and how much money is allocated to you can make things work. I'm really not too concerned about that, but that just needs to be in the mind of the decision makers at House Hall if you're looking into acquiring a player like this. And if you're Ryan Poles, you're Ben Johnson, you're Dennis Allen, you're at least talking about this. There's no way that you're not. If you're not, then I feel like that is, that's an indictment on the coaching staff and the Bears regime. Like, hey, when there's a player like this potentially available, you're interested, you're calling, and you're seeing what it would take. But that's just my thoughts on Trey Hendrickson. But still, there are so many other players, potential edge rushers in this free agent class, or just guys that the Bears can potentially get that we also need to talk about. But hey, I can't lie. I'm interested in Trey Hendrickson, knowing that we're like a day apart in our birthdays, which is crazy. Yeah, I'm intrigued, and I'm curious to see what you guys think if the Bears can go get a guy like that opposite of Montez Sweat. Then at number 10, man, really quickly. At number 10, who knows who's going to end up being there. I doubt the Bears would. Actually, I'm not going to rule out taking another edge rusher. I'm not going to do that, but can you just think for a second? Trey Hendrickson, Montez Sweat, Andrew Billings, Mason Graham. You also have Jervon Dexter. Man, that's a defensive front now that if you're an opposing offense, you're like, crap. This is going to be a dogfight, a damn battle in the trenches. And I think that's what the Bears need to start bringing to the equation every single time they line up against an opposing team. Like, this ain't going to be easy. So there's the thoughts on Trey Hendrickson. Let's go to I think the next kind of not obvious choice, but now there have been reports coming out of the combine that Khalil Mack is interested in reuniting with Chicago, and makes a lot of sense. Also overlapped with Dennis Allen back when, with the Oakland Raiders, but this is a guy that's he's been highly productive, especially the last two seasons, more so in 2023 than 2024, but played 17 games that 2023 season, 17 sacks. He had 74 combined tackles. That year he's a Pro Bowler, All Pro. Just Khalil Mack was doing Khalil Mack things in 2023. Then 2024 kind of had a dip in production, and you're looking at 6 sacks that year, 39 total tackles, but still Khalil Mack was still highly productive as a two-way player, stopping the run, rushing the passer. Graded out really well in PFF, and that run defense, the ability to just make tackles and stop the run. Like, he still graded out really well. Just didn't have sack production that maybe he would have liked to have. But looking at PFF's like projected contracts for a guy like Khalil Mack, 2 years, 22.5 million, on average, 40 million guaranteed, 45 million total. And he is looking at his age 34. So that's the thing with like a guy like Khalil Mack. If you're considering bringing him, back to Chicago, this is a short-term type of thing. And even when you look at the offensive lineman they just traded for, that's almost viewed as almost a more short-term than long-term thing. Jonah Jackson definitely has the potential to be more long-term given his age, but if you're I guess it depends on what the mind frame is of Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson. Like, do you just want to like have a stopgap guy right now? And like Khalil Mack can, I think, serve as that. And he still played 617 snaps last season. So still, out there for a good part of, the Chargers defense. But I would be open to it. But here's the next guy that I think I would consider even more than a Khalil Mack. It's Josh Sweat. Excuse me, from the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, he is 27 years old, and I want to make sure just go check out when he will turn 28. Have the, let's see, get the bio up and running. He will turn March 29th. So he's actually going to turn 28 in a couple weeks here. So he'll be 28 by the start of the 2025 season, but also been a guy that's been productive, man, and, relatively healthy, especially the last 2 seasons, played in 16 games in 2024. He had the 8 sacks, 41 total tackles, and then the year previous played all 17 regular season games, 6.5 sacks. Also been a guy that I think you can count on, that I think if you're looking, more potential to be long term, Josh Sweat would, I think, play into that role. PFF, the 3 years, 18 million average, 32.5 million guaranteed, 54 million total. Yeah, that's a guy that I am really interested in lining up opposite of Montez Sweat for sure. And I think if you're looking at the Bears' perspective, do they want to go a guy that's at 28 in Josh Sweat, or if it's between a Mack and a Sweat, or a guy that's 34? I think you got to factor in age, obviously the financials that come with it, and it might just be more of I don't want to say an obvious choice, but where they do factor that in heavily and they go with a guy like Josh Sweat. I think I would go in that direction between those two specifically, but I wouldn't honestly, I'm not ruling out either option at this point, because the Bears do need help on the defensive line, and those are all going to be different factors that they look into as they're looking to build up this roster. Another guy that recently got released from the Chargers, Joey Bosa. To me, that's not a guy that I'm heavily considering to be a Chicago Bear in 2025, and I'm sure I feel like that's like not a crazy assumption for most of you Bears fans here. Like, if you do like him, tell me why. But I mean, this is a guy that played in 14 games in 2024, and then was limited to 9 games in 2023, and 5 games in 2022. And just looking at some of the injuries that he has sustained. Let's go back to 2023. Bosa, it was a foot sprain. Bosa suffered a sprained right foot in Week 11 versus the Packers, and he was later placed on IR, missed the remainder of the 2023 season. 2022, he had a groin tear. Bosa had surgery and returned. That was in had surgery September 25th, 2022 is when the injury happened. Had surgery and returned in Week 17. So, I mean, missing a lot of time there, missing 12 games in that season. So there are some significant injuries that have forced him to miss a lot of time. And I mean, when he's been on the football field, look, I think you shouldn't just look at sacks as when you're looking at how to potentially, look at these players and if they're worth it or not, because players can have a dip in one season, still be productive and be a good piece for your team. But he had 5 sacks in 2024, 6.5 in 2023, and then 2.5 in 2022. And the last time he had double digits was that 2021 season, where he had 10.5. So I know, like I literally just said, don't look at sacks, but some of the numbers are going in the wrong way for Joey Bosa, and so is the availability on the football field. And I think as somebody who's seen a lot of players not be on the football field for the Bears, whether it's free agent signings or draft picks. That should be such a high priority this time around. You want guys that are just going to be out there, that are going to be available. And I know Jonah Jackson from LA has missed some time recently, and maybe that doesn't fall into exactly my frame of thinking. But it was really that, this past season 2024, where he wasn't on the football field. Other than that, I think he's been pretty healthy. So those are some of the, like, I guess, the big name guys, names that I don't know, I just want to put out there. I understand the hesitation. People are gonna roll their eyes and look at me like, no. But the Bears they were, can't say that they weren't. They were interested in Matthew Judon last year. They were willing to trade for him until Atlanta, obviously got him, and it didn't work out. But he did play in 17 games, 5.5 sacks, 41 total tackles. Just didn't work out. I'm not advocating for Matthew Judon to come to the Bears. I'm just wondering, are the Bears still interested? And that was a different defensive scheme with Matt Eberflus. You have Dennis Allen now. So is that something, I don't know, would Ryan Poles look into a guy like that to see what it would cost, what would a projected contract be? I know he's in here in PFF, so I'm scrolling down a little bit to see him. Yeah, 1 year, $4.5 million. Now, do you do that and draft a player at 10 for the edge rusher? I don't know. Maybe that could be a compelling thing, and maybe that's something the Bears are considering. But just a name that I kind of wanted to put out there at this point. Another guy that I think we've talked about him like a bunch. I know I have. But Chase Young, you think about the overlap with Dennis Allen in New Orleans. So it kind of, it makes sense. Just reading some of the PFF summary here. Excuse me. In 2024, he was a top 20 edge defender in total quarterback pressures, 66, and pressure rate, 14.6. He may not be the perennial defensive player of the year candidate he looked like as a prospect ahead of the 2020 NFL draft, but Young is still a high-end number 2 edge rusher for any team in need. The Bears need a edge rusher, and they are a team in need. So for a number 2 edge rusher. So it could make sense. Another guy that, again, just putting out there, not banging the drum to go get this guy, but it could make sense. Marcus Davenport as well. Another guy that Dennis Allen would know in his time in New Orleans. And he was injured in Detroit, like for whatever, obviously didn't pan out when they signed him last offseason, but just kind of really quickly, PFF has a 1 year, $2.5 million projected contract. And this is a guy last season, if Pro Football Reference would load. Yeah. Man, what was his injury? Now I want to make sure to, highlight that really quickly, because he was only limited to, I believe, a game, and that's obviously not going to get things done. So I don't know why Pro Football Reference is destroying my computer, but let's do Marcus Davenport really quickly. I should have looked this up before recording, but I did not think ahead. Triceps. Suffered a season-ending tricep injury in the win over the Cardinals early on in the season. So that's what ended up, doing him in for his one season with the Detroit Lions. But after New Orleans, he stopped in Minnesota for a bit. It was, limited there, didn't play much there, 4 games, and then 2 games in Detroit. But those are not like you're feeling really good about those moves. You're making them because you got to have some semblance of confidence in the player, but you would still need a lot more from that position if you go with the last 2 guys that I mentioned, both guys coming or having time with Dennis Allen with the Saints. But yeah, I wanted to get on here, talk about this. It's fascinating because this is the next big, after center, I would say, is the next position the Bears need to get right and need to get a dude there that can play and be productive at that position opposite the edge rusher, opposite of Montez Sweat. I just got a notification. I obviously follow The Athletic and just the podcast that they do, but the latest podcast kind of triggered me here. Khalil Mack staying put? ? Trey Hendrickson to the Packers? You stop it. The Athletic, man, that would be. And I know there's been, I don't know if it's rumors, talks, or speculation just on Twitter. Packers maybe interested in DK Metcalf. Stop it. But no, this pre-free agency period has been exciting. It's been fun to speculate, talk about, and see what the Bears are going to do. I think yesterday the Bears made moves, but we'll see how it goes today. It feels like every single day up in this week, the Bears have done something. Still early on when I'm recording this video. I wanted to get up earlier. I had somebody in the comments say, Nick, you got to get to the gym at 5 a.m. Well, yeah, I mean, that'd be great. And I used to do that for a little bit. They're a Bears Fit Action. I'm rocking their dope hoodie here. Kind of like the message hustle. So we're embodying that mindset. But yeah, I don't know about the 5 a.m.ers. Kudos to you if you could do it. Like that's some impressive stuff to get there at 5 a.m. right when the gym is opening. Keep doing your thing. After this recording, I'll get my workout in before hopefully any moves are made by the Chicago Bears. But that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Just highlighting some of the edge rushers there. Who I like, who I don't like. I do like Trey Hendrickson. I like Trey Hendrickson a lot, and I think a lot of Bears fans would be on board with that too. Let me know in the comments. Obviously, I'll see those. Once you guys are, once this video is premiering live, I'll, make sure to jump in there as well. But this was fun. I love talking Bears football with you guys. And make sure, if you haven't already, please like this show, subscribe to my YouTube channel, leave a comment. There's somebody that gave a really in-depth, and I think just really good feedback from me. You gave me the praise in the beginning and said what I need to work on. I really appreciate that. Like I'm somebody that's going to be open to any terms of feedback. That's how I've always approached everything that I've done. I'm not doing things perfectly. I can't. It's impossible. I need to keep striving for just to get better each and every day. That's what I'm going to strive to do. And when I see comments like that, I think it's almost natural to be like, "Yo, who are you?" But no. I appreciate the any criticism, feedback, pointers, just your opinion in general. That's going to help me grow this channel and be better at it as I continue to make content here on the Chicago Bears. But hey, I appreciate all of you, everybody that has watched or watched any of my previous videos. And make sure you go do that. Go watch some of the things that I've already talked about throughout the week. It's gonna just helps me out here to grow the Nicholas Moreano Show. And I promise you, next week, the logo and the intro are going to be debuted. It's happening. Like that's it. I was working on it yesterday. But I want to make sure it's right. Like I just don't want to rush things just to rush things to get it out there. No. Take our time. Make sure when I do unveil it, it's the way I want to do it. So yes, it's happening. And I can't wait. Look, the logo is dope. The intro music is awesome. So I can't wait to share that with everybody. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that. I appreciate you guys, but I do. So I will talk to you guys, hey, maybe later this week, maybe next week, who knows. But until then, Bears fans, adios.